right, so on this set right here, so A is opposite side, angle A is 23, B is 24 opposite angle B, and C is 20 opposite angle C. All right, so the pattern that we have here is SSS. That tells us we're using law of cosines again. So we can find any of them. My suggestion is go ahead and find the largest angle first. So I'm going to find angle B first. When we solve for angle B, we're going to begin with the unknown and the piece opposite it. So the law of sines equation is 1 side squared, 24 squared is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides minus twice the product of those two sides times the cosine of the angle opposite that. Okay, so once again, we are going to need to let x represent the whole cosine ratio, and we're going to solve for that. Okay. And in working through this, we can enter F2 algebra tab, enter what we have. Okay, I don't have any decimals in here, so I'm going to hit the green diamond button so that my display is in decimal form. It does give me a value between -1 and 1, which is what I was expecting to see. And so if I wanted to actually solve for B, I would take the inverse cosine of this ratio. So in completing this, the inverse cosine of x, use the width key when x is equal to that, gives me the angle 67.4. And so you can choose either of the other angles to find. I'm going to go ahead and find C on this. I'm going to use the law of sines here. So the sine of C over the side opposite at 20 is equal to the sine of the angle I just found, 67.4, over the side opposite at 24. And we can use the solve feature. Same idea. We have to let x represent sine of C. And we'll solve. So F2 algebra tab, x over 20, set that equal to the sine of the angle that we just found, divided by 24, and we're solving for x. Again, I get a decimal value between -1 and 1, which is what I was expecting. And I can solve for sine, or the angle C, by taking the inverse sine of that ratio. So take inverse sine of x, use the width key, and let x represent the given ratio. I get C to be 50.3 approximately. And so when I take my total sum of angles, 180 minus the angle I just found, minus the angle that I found up above, and when I solve for that, I get my measure of 62.2. And now here's where the kind of discrepancy comes in. When you look at these, since it just asks you to round to the nearest tenth, what do I notice on these? 0.4, 0.3, 0.2. This adds up to 179.9. And so I think what they wound up doing is they rounded it slightly differently. And they wound up giving this a 50.4. And again, don't worry about it. I'm going to add the measures to that to make sure that it works for these.